Hello and good evening. I'm Lucie Tiberghien and I'm the artistic director and founder of Molière in the Park, and I'm the director of this production. Welcome and thank you for tuning in. I wanted to take a moment to thank our incredible supporters and partners at French Institute Alliance Française, of course, the LeFrak Center at Lakeside and Prospect Park Alliance, and also our generous season supporters, Bloomberg Philanthropy, John and Liz Weisswasser, the De Groot Foundation, and of course, always Samira Wiley. I also wanted to state very clearly that Molière in the Park stands in solidarity with the men and women who seek to fight injustice, racism, bigotry, and police brutality. At MIP, we believe that equality and inclusion is integral to everything that we do, and it will continue to be. Now, my partner, Garth Belcon, would like to say a few words. Again, thank you for tuning in and welcome.
Hi, I'm Garth Belcon, and I am the co-founding producer of Molière in the Park, and I'm also the producer of this production of Tartuffe. In recent weeks, there's been an awakening and some turmoil and protests going on in the United States with regards to systemic racism and police violence. Many voices have lifted together, and all as one, they have demanded change in this country, and it's a moment that's way overdue. Black lives do indeed matter, and it's also Pride Month. Black trans lives matter as well. Molière in the Park wants to take a moment to affirm its dedication to a just, diverse, and inclusive theater community in Brooklyn, New York City, and in the United States. This is part of our mission statement, and it will help to guide the work that we do from now going forward. We truly feel that a more diverse, inclusive, and nonviolent world is a much more beautiful world. So thank you for joining us from US, Europe, all across the globe, wherever you are. Thank you. I'd like to take this moment to introduce our presenting partners over at FIAF and also Molière, who has a couple of words to say before we start. Thank you. Be well.
I am Marie-Monique Steckel, President of the French Institute Alliance Française, and it gives me great pleasure to be associated with Tartuffe, Molière in the Park, and Lucie Tiberghien, and to continue the great collaboration which was started by our artistic director, Kokotajlo. Enjoy it very much.
And what more appropriate right now in current times than Tartuffe to question the role of hypocrisy and truth in our societies. We hope you enjoy this production.
Thank you.
Bonjour, je suis Molière. Thank you and merci for joining us for Tartuffe. To all of our French viewers who may be a bit confused by this portrayal of Molière, I just want to say that as an American, it is the highest honor we have to bestow on a historical figure to have him, her, or them portrayed by a transgender woman in mediocre drag. Plus, it is Pride Month, so it's perfectly acceptable for you to just sit there and smile politely while I prance around like a fop. Now, we all know that theater is often prohibitively expensive, so Molière in the Park strives to provide access to this wonderful art form for free. Our shows will always be free, but we rely on the support of our generous donors to keep us going. We also believe in putting our money where our mouth is. So, through July 1st, any donations made to us will not only support our mission of free theater that is inclusive, subversive, and accessible to Brooklyn's Prospect Park, but also 20% of each contribution will be donated to Black Lives Matter, and one of our generous supporters will match that 20%. So please go to moliereInthepark.org to donate what you can and help us continue to produce free theater for all. So Tartuffe is a show about religious hypocrisy, which seems very apt in light of recent actions taken by our president, n'est pas? Nonetheless, we hope you'll enjoy it as much as we enjoyed bringing this wonderful piece to life. Black Lives Matter, trans rights are human rights, and let's work together to end all this bigotry and hate. And, get this embarrassment out of the White House. Okay, au revoir.
Come, Wilbur. It's time I left this place.
I can't keep up. You walk at such a pace.
Trouble, child. No need to show me out. It's not your manners I'm concerned about.
We merely pay you the respect we owe. But, Mother, why this hurry? Must you go?
I must. This house appalls me. No one in it will pay attention for a single minute. Children, I take my leave, much vexed in spirit. I offer good advice, but you won't hear it. You won't break in and chatter on and on. It's like a madhouse with the keeper gone. Girl, you talk too much, and I'm afraid you're far too saucy for a lady's maid. You push in everywhere and have your say.
But
you, girl, grow more foolish every day. To think my grandchild should be such a dunce. I've said 100 times, if I've said it once, that if you keep the course on which you've started, you'll leave your worthy father broken-hearted.
I think
You, her sister, seem so pure, so shy, so innocent, and so demure. But you know what they say about still waters. I pity parents with secretive daughters.
Now, Mother.
And as for you, child, let me add that your behavior is extremely bad. For example, for all these children, too. Their dear dead mother did far better than you. You're much too free with money, and I'm distressed to see you so elaborately dressed. When it's one's husband that one aims to please, one has no need of costly fripperies.
Oh, madam, really?
You're her brother, son, and I respect and love you. Yet if I were my son, this lady's good and pious spouse, I wouldn't make you welcome in my house. You're full of worldly counsels, which I fear aren't suitable for decent folk to hear. I've spoken bluntly, sir, but it behooves us not to mince words when righteous fervor moves us.
Your man Tartuffe is full of holy speeches.
And practices precisely what he preaches. He's a fine man and should be listened to. I will not hear him mocked by fools like you.
Good God! Do you expect me to submit to the tyranny of that carping hypocrite? Must we forgo all joys and satisfactions because that bigot censors all our actions?
To hear him talk, and he talks all the time. There's nothing one can do that's not a crime. He rails at everything, your dear Tartuffe.
Whatever he reproves deserves reproof. He's out to save your souls, and all of you must love him as my son would have you do.
No. Grandmother, I could never take to such a rascal, even for my father's sake. That's how I feel, and I shall not dissemble. His every action makes me seethe and tremble with helpless anger, and I have no doubt that he and I will shortly have it out.
Surely it is a shame and a disgrace to see this man usurp the master's place, to see this beggar who, when first he came, had not a shoe or shoestring to his name, so far forgets himself that he pretends the house were his and we his servants.
Well, mark my words, your souls would fare far better if you obeyed his precepts to the letter.
You see him as a saint. I'm far less awed. In fact, I see right through him. He's a fraud.
Nonsense.
His man Laurence, the same, or worse. I'd not trust either with a penny purse.
I can't say what his servants' morals may be. His own great goodness I can guarantee. You all regard him with distaste and fear because he tells you what you're loath to hear. Condemns your sins, points out your moral flaws, and humbly strives to further heaven's cause.
If sin is all that bothers him, why isn't he so upset when folk drop in to visit? Is heaven so outraged by a social call that he must prophesy against us all? I'll tell you what I think. If you ask me, he's jealous of my mistress' company.
Rubbish. He's not alone, child, in complaining of all of your promiscuous entertaining. Why, the whole neighborhood's upset, I know, by all these carriages that come and go with crowds of guests parading in and out and noisy servants loitering about. In all of this, I'm sure there's nothing vicious. But why give people cause to be suspicious?
Well, they need no cause. They'll talk in any case. Madam, this world would be a joyless place if, fearing what malicious tongues might say, we locked our doors and turned our friends away. And even if one did so jury a thing, do you think those tongues would cease their chattering? One can't fight slander. It's a losing battle. Let us instead ignore their tittle-tattle. Let's strive to live by conscience's clear decrees, and let the gossips gossip as they please.
If there is talk against us, I know the source. It's Daphne and her little husband, of course. Those who have the greatest cause for guilt and shame are quickest to besmirch a neighbor's name. When there's a chance for libel, they never miss it when something can be made to seem illicit. They're off at once to spread the joyous news, adding to fact what fantasies they choose. By talking up their neighbors' indiscretions, they seek to camouflage their own transgressions, hoping that others' innocent affairs will lend a hue of innocence to theirs.
That talk is what you like to hear. Therefore, you'd have us. Oh, keep still, my dear, while Madam rattles on the livelong day. Nevertheless, I mean to have my say. I tell you that you're blessed to have Tartuffe dwelling as my son's guest beneath this roof, that heaven has sent him to forestall its wrath by leading you once more to the true path, that all he reprehends is reprehensible, and that you better heed him and be sensible. These visits, balls, and parties in which you revel are nothing but inventions of the devil. One never hears a word that's edifying, nothing but chaff and foolishness and lying, as well as vicious gossip, in which one's neighbor is cut to bits with épée, foil, and saber. People of sense are driven half insane at such affairs, where noise and folly reign and reputations perish thick and fast. As a wise preacher said on Sunday last, parties are towers of Babylon, because the guests all babble on with never a pause. And then he told a story, which I think I heard that laughter, and I saw that wink. Go find your silly friends and laugh some more. Enough, I'm going. Don't show me to the door. I leave this household much dismayed and vexed. I cannot say when I shall see you next. Wake up! Don't stand there gaping into space. I'll slap some sense into that stupid face. Move! Move, you slut!
I think I'll stay behind. I want no further pieces of her mind. How that old lady.
Oh, what wouldn't she say if you could hear her? She could hear you speak of her that way. She'd thank you for the lady, but I'm sure she'd find the old a little premature.
Well, my, what a scene she made. What a din. And how this man Tartuffe has taken her in.
Yes, but her son is even worse deceived. His folly must be seen to be believed. In the late troubles, he played an able part and served his king with wise and loyal heart. But he's quite lost his senses since he fell beneath Tartuffe's infatuating spell. He calls him brother and loves him as his life, preferring him to mother, child, or wife. In him and him alone will he confide. He's made him his confessor and his guide. He pets and pampers him with love more tender than any pretty mistress could engender. Gives him the place of honor when they dine. Delights to see him gorging like a swine. Stuffs him with dainties till his guts distend. And when he belches, cries, "God bless you, friend." In short, he's mad. He worships him. He dotes. His deeds he marvels at. His words he quotes, thinking each act a miracle, each word oracular as those that Moses heard. Tartuffe, much pleased to find so easy a victim, has in 100 ways beguiled and tricked him, milked him of money, and with his permission established here a sort of inquisition. Even Lorrain, his lackey, dares to give us arrogant advice on how to live. He sermonizes us in thundering tones and confiscates our ribbons and colognes. Last week, he tore a kerchief into pieces because he found it pressed into a life of Jesus. He said it was a sin to juxtapose unholy vanities and holy prose.
You did well not to follow. She stood in the door and said verbatim all she'd said before. I saw my husband coming. I think I'd best go upstairs now and take a little rest.
I'll wait and greet him here, then I must go. I've really only time to say hello.
Sound him about my sister's wedding, please. I think Tartuffe's against it, and he's been urging father to withdraw his blessing. As you well know, I'd find that most distressing. Unless my sister and Valère can marry, my hopes to wed his sister will miscarry. And I'm determined.
Oh, he's coming.
Ah, brother, good day.
Well, welcome back. I'm sorry I can't stay. How is the country? Blooming, I trust, and green.
Excuse me, brother, just one moment. Doreen, to put my mind at rest, I always learn the household news the moment I return. Has all been well? These 2 days I've been gone. How are the family? What's been going on?
Your wife, 2 days ago, had a bad fever and a fierce headache which refused to leave her.
Ah, and Tartuffe?
Tartuffe? Why, he's round and red, busting with health and excellently fed.
Poor fellow.
That night, the mistress was unable to take a single bite at the dinner table. Her headache pains, she said, were simply hellish.
Ah, and Tartuffe?
He ate his meal with relish and zealously devoured in her presence a leg of mutton and a brace of pheasants.
Poor fellow.
Well, the pains continued strong, and so she tossed and tossed the whole night long, now icy cold, now burning like a flame. We sat beside her bed till morning came.
Ah, and Tartuffe?
Why, having eaten, he rose and sought his room, already in a doze, got into his warm bed and snored away in perfect peace until the break of day.
Poor fellow.
After much ado, we talked her into dispatching someone for the doctor. He bled her, and the fever quickly fell.
And Tartuffe?
He bore it very well. To keep his cheerfulness at any cost and make up for the blood Madame had lost, he drank at lunch 4 beakers full of port.
Poor fellow.
Both are doing well, in short. I'll go and tell Madame that you've expressed keen sympathy and anxious interest.
Ah.
That girl was laughing in your face.
Oh.
Although I've no wish to offend you, even so, I'm bound to say that she had some excuse. How can you possibly be such a goose? Are you so dazed by this man's hocus pocus that all the world, save him, is out of focus? You've given him clothing, shelter, food, and care. Why must you also...
Brother, stop right there. You do not know the man of whom you speak.
I grant you that, but my judgment's not so weak that I can't tell by his effect on others that...
Ah, when you meet him, you two will be like brothers. There's been no loftier soul since time began. He is a man who, an excellent man. To keep his precepts is to be reborn and view this dunghill of a world with scorn. Yes, thanks to him, I'm a changed man indeed. Under his tutelage, my soul's been freed from earthly loves and every human tie. My mother, children, brother, and wife could die, and I'd not feel a single moment's pain.
That's a fine sentiment, brother, most humane.
Oh, had you seen Tartuffe as I first knew him, your heart like mine would have surrendered to him. He used to come into our church each day and humbly kneel nearby and start to pray. He'd draw the eyes of everybody there by the deep fervor of his heartfelt prayer. He'd sigh and weep, and sometimes with a sound of rapture, he would bend and kiss the ground. And when I rose to go, he'd run before to offer me holy water at the door. His serving man, no less devout than he, informed me of his master's poverty. I gave him gifts, but in his humbleness, he'd beg me every time to give him less. Oh, that's too much, he'd cry. Too much by twice. I don't deserve it. The half, sir, would suffice. And when I wouldn't take it back, he'd share half of it with the poor right then and there. At length, heaven prompted me to take him in to dwell with us and free our souls from sin. He guides our lives, and to protect my honor, stays by my wife and keeps an eye upon her. He tells me whom she sees and all she does, and seems more jealous than I ever was. And how austere he is. Why, he can detect a mortal sin where you would least expect. In smallest trifles, he's extremely strict. What, last week? His conscience was severely pricked because while praying, he had caught a flea and killed it. So he felt too wrathfully.
Oh, good God, man. Have you lost your common sense? Or is this some joke at my expense? How can you stand there and in all sobriety?
Brother, your language savors of impiety. Too much free thinking's made your faith unsteady. And as I've warned you many times already, 'twill get you into trouble before you're through.
Well, so I've been told before by dupes like you. Being blind, you'd have all others blind as well. And the clear-eyed man you call an infidel, and he who sees through humbug and pretense is charged by you with want of reverence. Spare me your warnings, brother. I have no fear of speaking out for you and heaven to hear against affected zeal and pious knavery. It's true and false in piety as in bravery, and just as those whose courage shines the most in battle are the least inclined to boast, so those whose hearts are truly pure and lowly don't make a flashy show of being holy. There's a vast difference, so it seems to me, between true piety and hypocrisy. How do you fail to see it, may I ask? Is not a face quite different from a mask? Cannot sincerity and cunning art, reality and semblance be told apart? Are scarecrows just like men? And do you hold that a false coin is just as good as gold? Brother, man's a strangely fashioned creature who seldom is content to follow nature, but recklessly pursues his inclination beyond the narrow bounds of moderation, and often by transgressing reason's laws perverts a lofty aim or noble cause. A passing observation, but it applies.
I see, dear brother, that you are profoundly wise. You harbor all the insight of the age. You are our one clear mind, our only sage, the era's oracle. It's Cato, too, and all mankind are fools compared to you.
Brother, I don't pretend to be a sage, nor have I all the wisdom of the age. There's just one insight I would dare to claim. I know that true and false are not the same. And just as there is nothing I more revere than a soul whose faith is steadfast and sincere, nothing that I more cherish and admire than honest zeal and true religious fire, so there is nothing I find more base than specious piety's dishonest face. And these bold mountebanks, these histrios, whose impious mummeries and hollow shows exploit our love of heaven and make a jest of all that men think holiest and best. These calculating souls who offer prayers not to their maker, but for public wares, and seek to buy respect and reputation with lifted eyes and sighs of exaltation. These charlatans, I say, whose pilgrim souls proceed by way of heaven toward earthly goals, who weep and pray and swindle and extort, who preach the monkish life but haunt the court, who make the zeal the partner of their vice. Such men are vengeful, sly, and cold as ice. And when there is an enemy to defame, they cloak their spite in fair religion's name, their private spleen and malice being made to seem a high and virtuous crusade, until to mankind's reverent applause they crucify their foe in heaven's cause. Such knaves are all too common, yet for the wise, true piety isn't hard to recognize. And happily, these present times provide us with bright examples to instruct and guide us. Consider Ariston and Periandra. Look at Orgon, Acidimos, and Clitandra. Their virtue is acknowledged. Who could doubt it? But you won't hear them beat the drum about it. They're never ostentatious, never vain, and their religion's moderate and humane. It's not their way to criticize and chide. They think censoriousness a mark of pride. And therefore, letting others preach and rave, they show by deeds how Christians should behave. They think no evil of their fellow man, but judge him as kindly as they can. They don't intrigue and wangle and conspire. To lead a good life is their one desire. The sinner wakes no rancorous hate in them. It is the sin alone which they condemn. And nor do they try to show a fiercer zeal for heaven's cause than heaven itself could feel. These men I honor. These men I advocate as models for us all to emulate. Your man is not their sort at all, I fear. And while your praise of him is quite sincere, I think that you've been dreadfully deluded.
Now then, brother, is your speech concluded?
Why, yes.
All right. Your servant, sir.
No, brother, wait. There's one more matter. You agreed of late that young Valère might have your daughter's hand.
I did.
And set the date, I understand.
Quite so.
You've now postponed it, is that true?
No doubt.
The match no longer pleases you.
Who knows?
Do you mean to go back on your word?
I won't say that.
Has anything occurred which might entitle you to break your pledge?
Perhaps.
Why must you hem and haw and hedge? The girl asked me to sound you in this affair.
It's been a pleasure.
What shall I tell Valère?
Whatever you like.
What have you decided? What are your plans?
I plan, sir, to be guided by heaven's will.
Oh, come, brother, don't talk rot. You've given Valère your word. Will you keep it or not?
Good day.
Well, this looks like poor Valère's undoing. I'll go and warn him that there's trouble brewing.
Marianne.
Yes, Father?
A word with you. Come here.
What are you looking for?
Eavesdroppers, dear. I'm making sure we shan't be overheard. Someone in there could catch our every word. Ah, good. Ha, we're safe. Now, Marianne, my child, you're a sweet girl who's tractable and mind, whom I hold dear, think most highly of.
I'm deeply grateful, Father, for your love.
Ah, that's well said, daughter. And you can repay me if in all things you'll cheerfully obey me.
To please you, sir, is what delights me best.
Good. Now, what do you think of Tartuffe, a guest?
I, sir?
Yes, weigh your answer, think it through.
Oh dear, I'll say whatever you wish me to.
That's wisely said, my daughter. Say of him, then, that he's the very worthiest of men, and that you're fond of him, and would rejoice in being his wife, if that should be my choice. Well?
What?
What's that? Well?
Forgive me, pray.
Did you not hear me?
Of whom, sir, must I say that I am fond of him and would rejoice in being his wife, if that shall be your choice?
Why, of Tartuffe.
But father, that's false, you know. Why would you have me say what isn't so?
Because I am resolved it shall be true, that it's my wish should be enough for you.
You can't mean, father.
Yes, Tartuffe shall be allied by marriage to this family, and he's to be your husband. Is that clear? It's a father's privilege. What are you doing in here? Is curiosity so fierce a passion with you that you must eavesdrop in this fashion?
There's lately been a rumor going about, based on some hunch or chance remark, no doubt, that you mean Marianne to wed Tartuffe. I've laughed it off, of course, as just a spoof.
Oh, you find it so incredible.
Yes, I do. I won't accept that story, even from you.
Well, you'll believe it when the thing is done.
Yes, of course. Go on and have your fun.
I've never been more serious in my life. Daughter, I mean it. You're to be his wife.
No, don't believe your father. It's all a hoax.
See here, young woman.
Come, sir. No more jokes. You can't fool us.
How dare you talk that way?
All right, then. We believe you, sad to say. And how a man like you, who looks so wise and wears a mustache of such splendid size, can be so foolish as to...
Silence, please. My girl, you take too many liberties. I'm master here, as you must not forget.
Let's discuss this calmly. Don't be upset. You can't be serious, sir, about this plan. What should that bigot want with Marianne? Praying and fasting ought to keep him busy. And then, in terms of wealth and rank, what is he? Why should a man of property like you pick out a beggar son-in-law?
That will do. Speak of his poverty with reverence. He is a pure and saintly indigence, which far transcends all worldly pride and pelf. He lost his fortune, as he says himself, because he cared for heaven alone, and so was careless of his interests here below. I mean, to get him out of his present straits, and help him to recover his estates, which in his part of the world have no small fame. Poor though he is, he's a gentleman just the same.
Yes, so he tells us. And sir, it seems to me such pride goes very ill with piety. A man whose spirit spurns this dungy earth ought not to brag of lands and noble birth. Such worldly arrogance will hardly square with meek devotion and the life of prayer. But this approach, I see, has drawn a blank. Let's speak then of his person, not his rank. Doesn't it seem to you a trifle grim to give a girl like her to a man like him? When two are so ill-suited, can't you see what the sad consequence is bound to be? A young girl's virtue is imperiled, sir, when such a marriage is imposed on her. For if one's bridegroom isn't to one's taste, it's hardly an inducement to be chaste. And many a man with horns upon his brow has made his wife the thing that she is now. It's hard to be a faithful wife, in short, to certain husbands of a certain sort. And he who gives his daughter to a man she hates must answer for her sins at heaven's gates. Think, sir, before you play so risky a role.
This servant girl presumes to save my soul.
You would do well to ponder what I've said.
Daughter, we'll disregard this dunderhead. Just trust your father's judgment. Oh, I'm aware that I once promised you to young Valere, but now I hear he gambles, which greatly shocks me. What's more, I've doubts about his orthodoxy. His visits to church, I note, are very few.
Would you have him go at the same hours as you and kneel nearby to be sure of being seen?
I can dispense with such remarks, Doreen. Tartuffe, however, is sure of heaven's blessing, and that's the only treasure worth possessing. This match will bring you joys beyond all measure. Your cup will overflow with every pleasure. You two will interchange your faithful loves like two sweet cherubs or two turtle doves. No harsh word shall be heard, no frown be seen, and he shall make you as happy as a queen.
And she'll make him a cuckold. Just wait and see.
What language?
Oh, he's a man of destiny. He's made for horns. And what the stars demand, your daughter's virtue surely can't withstand.
Don't interrupt me further. Why can't you learn that certain things are none of your concern?
It's for your own sake that I interfere.
Most kind of you. Now hold your tongue, do you hear?
If I didn't love you...
Spare me your affection.
I love you, sir, in spite of your objection.
Blast!
I can't bear, sir, for your honor's sake, to let you make this ludicrous mistake.
You mean to go on talking?
If I didn't protest this sinful marriage, my conscience wouldn't rest.
If you don't hold your tongue, you little shrew.
What? Lose your temper? A pious man like you?
Yes! Yes! You talk and talk. I'm maddened by it. Once and for all, I tell you to be quiet.
Well, I'll be quiet, but I'll be thinking hard.
Think all you like, but you had better safeguard that saucy tongue of yours, or I'll... Now, child, I have weighed this matter fully.
It drives me wild that I can't speak.
Tartuffe is no young dandy, but still his person
It's as sweet as candy.
is such that even if you shouldn't care for his other merits,
They'll make a lovely pair. If I were she, no man would marry me against my inclination and go scot-free. He'd learn before the wedding day was over how readily a wife can find a lover.
it seems you treat my orders as a joke.
Why? What's the matter? 'Twas not to you I spoke.
Oh, what were you doing?
Talking to myself, that's all.
Oh! One more bit of impudence and gall, and I shall give her a good slap in the face. Daughter, you shall accept, and with good grace, the husband I've selected. Your wedding day, why don't you talk to yourself?
I have nothing to say.
Oh, come, just one word.
No, thank you, sir. I pass.
Come, speak, I'm waiting.
I'd not be such an ass.
In short, daughter, I mean to be obeyed, and you must bow to the sound choice I've made.
I'd not wed such a monster, even in jest.
Oh my... Daughter, that maid of yours is a thorough pest. She makes me sinfully annoyed and nettled. I can't speak further. My nerves are too unsettled. She's so upset me by her insolent talk. I'll calm myself by going for a walk.
Well, have you lost your tongue, girl? Must I play your part and say the lines you ought to say? Faced with a fate so hideous and absurd, can you not utter one dissenting word?
What good would it do? A father's power is great.
Resist him now, or it will be too late.
But
Tell him one cannot love at a father's whim, that you shall marry for yourself, not him, that since it's you who are to be the bride, it's you, not he, who must be satisfied, and that if his Tartuffe is so sublime, he's free to marry him at any time.
I've bowed so long to father's strict control, I couldn't oppose him now to save my soul.
Come, Marianne, do listen to reason, won't you? Valere has asked your hand. Do you love him or don't you?
Oh, how unjust of you! What do you mean by asking such a question, dear Doreen? You know the depth of my affection for him. I've told you 100 times how I adore him.
I don't believe in everything I hear. Who knows if your professions were sincere?
They were, Doreen, and you do me wrong to doubt it. Heaven knows that I've been all too frank about it.
Do you love him, then?
Yes. more than I can express.
And he, I take it, cares for you no less.
I think so.
And you both, with equal fire, burn to be married.
That is our one desire.
What of Tartuffe, then? What of your father's plan?
Oh, I will kill myself if I'm forced to wed that man.
I hadn't thought of that recourse. How splendid. Just die, and all your troubles will be ended. A fine solution. Oh, it maddens me to hear you talk in that self-pitying key.
Doreen! How harsh you are. It's most unfair. You have no sympathy for my despair.
I've none at all for people who talk drivel and, faced with difficulties, whine and snivel.
No doubt I'm timid, but it would be wrong.
True love requires a heart that's firm and strong.
I'm strong in my affection for Valère, but coping with my father is his affair.
But if your father's brain has grown so cracked over his dear Tartuffe that he can retract his blessing, though your wedding day was named, it's surely not Valère who's to be blamed.
If I defied my father, as you suggest, would it not seem unmaidenly at best? Shall I defend my love at the expense of brazenness and disobedience? Shall I parade my heart's desires and flaunt?
No, I ask nothing of you. Clearly, you want to be Madame Tartuffe, and I feel bound not to oppose a wish so very sound. And what right have I to criticize the match? Indeed, my dear, the man's a brilliant catch. Monsieur Tartuffe. Now there's a man of weight. Yes, yes, Monsieur Tartuffe, I'm bound to state, is quite a person. That's not to be denied. 'Twill be no little thing to be his bride. The world already rings with his renown. He's a great noble in his native town. His ears are red. He has a pink complexion. And all in all, he'll suit you to perfection.
Dear God.
Oh, how triumphant you will feel at having caught a husband so ideal.
Oh, do stop teasing and use your cleverness to get me out of this appalling mess. Advise me, and I will do whatever you say.
I know. A dutiful daughter must obey her father, even if he weds her to an ape. You've a bright future. Why struggle to escape? Tartuffe will take you back where his family lives, to a small town, a swarm with relatives, uncles, and...
Oh, you turn my blood to ice. Stop torturing me and give me your advice.
Your servant, madam.
Doreen, I beg of you.
No, you deserve it. This marriage must go through.
Doreen.
No.
Not Tartuffe. You know I think him...
Tartuffe's your cup of tea, and you shall drink him.
I've always told you everything and relied.
No, you deserve to be Tartuffified.
Well, since you mock me and refuse to care, I'll henceforth seek my solace in despair. Despair shall be my counselor and my friend and help me bring my sorrows to an end.
There, now, come back. My anger has subsided. You do deserve some pity, I've decided.
Doreen, if Father makes me undergo this dreadful martyrdom, I'll die. I know.
Don't fret. It won't be difficult to discover some plan of action. But here's Valère, your lover.
Madam, I've just received some wondrous news regarding which I'd like to hear your views.
What news?
You're marrying Tartuffe.
I find that Father does have such a match in mind.
Your father, madam,
has just this minute said that it's Tartuffe he wishes me to wed.
Can he be serious?
Oh, indeed he can. He has clearly set his heart upon the plan.
And what position do you propose to take, madam?
Why, I don't know.
For heaven's sake, you don't know.
No.
Well.
Advise me. Do.
Marry the man. That's my advice to you.
That's your advice?
Yes.
Truly?
Oh, absolutely. You couldn't choose more wisely, more astutely.
Thanks for this counsel. I will follow it, of course.
Do. I'm sure it will cost you no remorse.
To give it didn't cause your heart to break.
I gave it, madam, only for your sake.
And it's for your sake that I take it, sir.
Let's see which fool will prove the stubborner.
So, I am nothing to you, and it was flat deception when you...
Please, enough of that. You told me plainly that I should agree to wed the man my father's chosen for me. And since you've deigned to counsel me so wisely, I promise, sir, to do as you advise me.
Ah, no, 'twas not by me that you were swayed. No, your decision was already made. Though now, to save appearances, you protest that you're betraying me at my behest.
Just as you say.
Quite so. And I now see that you were never truly in love with me.
And you're free to think so if you choose.
I choose to think so. And here's a bit of news. You've spurned my hand, but I know where to turn for kinder treatment, as you shall quickly learn.
I am sure you do. Your noble qualities inspire affection.
Forget my qualities, please. They don't inspire you over much, I find. But there's another lady I have in mind whose sweet and generous nature will not scorn to compensate me for the loss I've borne.
I'm no great loss, and I am sure that you'll transfer your heart quite painlessly from me to her.
I'll do my best to take it in my stride. The pain I feel at being cast aside, time and forgetfulness may put an end to. Or if I can't forget, I shall pretend to. No self-respecting person is expected to go on loving once he's been rejected.
Now that's a fine, high-minded sentiment.
One to which any sane man would assent. Would you prefer it if I pined away in hopeless passion till my dying day?
Go then. Console yourself. Don't hesitate. I wish you to. Indeed, I cannot wait.
Wish me to.
Yes.
That's the final straw. Madam, farewell. Your wish shall be my law.
Splendid.
This breach, remember, is of your making. It's you who've driven me to the step I'm taking.
Of course.
Remember, too, that I am merely following your example.
I see that clearly.
Enough. I'll go and do your bidding then.
Good.
You shall never see my face again.
Excellent.
Yes?
What?
What's that? What did you say?
Nothing. You're dreaming.
Ah. Well, I'm on my way. Farewell, madam.
Farewell.
If you ask me, both of you are as mad can be. Do stop this nonsense now. I've only let you squabble so long to see where it would get you. Whoa there, Monsieur Valère.
What's this, Doreen?
Come here.
No, my heart's too full of spleen. Don't hold me back. Her wish must be obeyed.
Stop.
It's too late now. My decision's made.
Oh, pooh.
He hates the sight of me. That's plain. I'll go and so deliver him from pain.
And now you run away. Come back.
No. Nothing you say will keep me here. Let go!
She cannot bear my presence, I perceive. To spare her further torment, I shall leave.
Again, you'll not escape, sir. Don't you try it. Come here, you two. Stop fussing and be quiet.
What do you want of me?
What is the point of this?
We're gonna have a little armistice. Now, weren't you silly to get so overheated?
Didn't you see how badly I was treated?
Aren't you a simpleton to have lost your head?
Didn't you hear the hateful things he said?
You're both great fools. Her sole desire, Valere, is to be yours in marriage. To that, I'll swear. He loves you only, and he wants no wife but you, Marianne. On that, I'll stake my life.
Then why you advised me so, I cannot see.
On such a question, why ask advice of me?
Oh, you're impossible. Give me your hands, you two. Yours first.
But why?
And now a hand from you.
What are you doing?
There. A perfect fit. You suit each other better than you'll admit.
Oh, come. Don't be so haughty. Give a man a look of kindness. Won't you, Marianne?
I tell you, lovers are completely mad.
Now come, confess to me that you were very bad to hurt my feelings as you did just now. I have a just complaint. You must allow.
You must allow that you were most unpleasant.
Let's table that discussion for the present. Your father has a plan which must be stopped.
Advise us then what means we must adopt.
We'll use all manner of means, and all at once. Marianne, your father's addled. He's a dunce. Therefore, you'd better humor the old fossil. Pretend to yield to him, be sweet and docile, and then postpone as often as necessary the day on which you have agreed to marry. You'll thus gain time, and time will turn the trick. Sometimes, for instance, you'll be taken sick, and that will seem good reason for delay. Or some bad omen will make you change the day. You'll dream of muddy water, or you'll pass a dead man's hearse, or break a looking glass. If all else fails, no man can marry you unless you take his ring and say, I do. But now, let's separate. If they should find us talking here, our plot might be divined. Valere, go to your friends. Say what's occurred, have them urge her father to keep his word. Meanwhile, we'll stir her sister into action and get Elmire as well to join our faction. Goodbye.
Though each of us will do his best, it's your true heart in which my hopes shall rest.
Regardless of what my father shall decide, none but Valere shall take me as his bride.
Oh, how those words content me. Come, what will they?
Oh, lovers, lovers, their tongues are never still. Be off now.
One last word.
No time to chat. You leave by this door, and you leave by that.
May lightning strike me even as I speak. May all men call me cowardly and weak. If any fear or scruple holds me back from setting things at once with that great quack.
Now don't give way to violent emotion. Your father's merely talked about this notion, and words and deeds are far from being one. Much that is talked about is left undone.
No, I must stop that scoundrel's machinations. I'll go and tell him off. I'm out of patience.
Do calm down and be practical. I had rather my mistress dealt with him and with your father. She has some influence with Tartuffe, I've noted. He hangs upon her words, seems most devoted, and may indeed be smitten by her charm. Pray heaven it's true. 'Twould do our cause no harm. She sent for him now to sound him out on this affair you're so incensed about. She'll find out where he stands, and tell him, too, what dreadful strife and trouble will ensue if he lends countenance to your father's plan. I couldn't get in to see him, but his man says that he's almost finished with his prayers. Go now. I'll catch him when he comes downstairs.
I want to hear this conference, and I will.
No, they must be alone.
Oh, I'll keep still.
Not you. I know your temper. You'd start a brawl and shout and stamp your foot and spoil it all. Go on.
I won't. I have a perfect right.
Lord, you're a nuisance. He's coming. Get out of sight.
Mea culpa, mea culpa, mea maxima, maxima culpa. Hang up my hair shirt, put my scourge in place, and pray, Lorrain, for heaven's perpetual grace. I'm going to the prison now to share my last few coins with the poor wretches there.
Dear God, what affectation. What a fake.
You wish to see me?
Yes.
For mercy's sake, please. Take this handkerchief before you speak.
What?
Cover that bosom, girl. The flesh is weak, and unclean thoughts are difficult to control. Such sights as that can undermine the soul.
Your soul, it seems, has very poor defenses, and flesh makes quite an impact on your senses. It's strange that you're so easily excited. My own desires are not so soon ignited. And if I saw you naked as a beast, not all your hide would tempt me in the least.
Girl, speak more modestly. Unless you do, I shall be forced to take my leave of you.
Oh no, it's I who must be on my way. I've just one little message to convey. Madame is coming down and begs you, sir, to wait and have a word or two with her.
Gladly.
That had a softening effect. I think my guess about him was correct.
Will she be long?
No, that's her step, I hear. Ah, here she is, and I shall disappear.
May heaven, whose infinite goodness we adore, preserve your body and soul forevermore, and bless your days, and answer thus the plea of one who is its humblest votary.
Oh, I thank you for that pious wish. But please do take a chair and let's be more at ease.
I trust that you are more well and strong.
Oh, yes, the fever didn't last for long.
My prayers are too unworthy, I am sure, to have gained from heaven this most gracious cure. But lately, madam, my every supplication has had for object your recuperation.
Oh, you shouldn't have troubled so. I don't deserve it.
Your health is priceless, madam, and to preserve it, I'd gladly give my own in all sincerity.
Oh, sir, you outdo us all in Christian charity. You've been most kind. I count myself your debtor.
'Twas nothing, madam. I long to serve you better.
There's a private matter I'm anxious to discuss. I'm glad there's no one here to hinder us.
I, too, am glad. It floods my heart with bliss to find myself alone with you like this. For just this chance, I've prayed with all my power, but prayed in vain until this happy hour.
Oh, this won't take long, sir, and I hope you'll be entirely frank and unconstrained with me.
Indeed, there is nothing I had rather do than bear my inmost heart and soul to you. First, let me say, what remarks I've made about the constant visits you are paid were prompted not by any mean emotion, but rather by a pure and deep devotion, a fervent zeal.
No need for explanation. Your sole concern, I'm sure, was my salvation.
Quite so. And such great fervor do I feel.
Oh, please. You're pitching.
It was from an excess of zeal.
No.
I'd never meant to cause you pain, I swear. I'd rather...
Oh, what can your hand be doing there?
Feeling your gown. Oh, what soft, fine woven stuff.
Oh, please, I'm extremely ticklish. That's enough.
My, what lovely lace work on your dress. The workmanship's miraculous, no less. I've not seen anything to equal it.
Yes, quite. But let's talk business for a bit. They say my husband means to break his word and give his daughter to you, sir. Had you heard?
He did mention it, but I confess I dream of quite a different happiness. It's elsewhere, madam, that my heart and my eyes discern the promise of that bliss for which I yearn.
Oh, I see. You care for nothing here below.
Ah, well, my heart's not made of stone, you know.
All your desires mount heavenward, I'm sure, in scorn of all that's earthly and impure.
A love of heavenly beauty does not preclude a proper love of earthly pulchritude. Our senses are quite rightly captivated by perfect works our Maker has created. Some glory clings to all that heaven has made. In you, all heaven's marvels are displayed. On that fair face, such beauties have been lavished. The eyes are dazzled and the heart is ravished. How could I look on you, oh flawless creature, and not adore the author of all nature, feeling a love both passionate and pure for you? His triumph of self-portraiture. At first, I trembled lest that love should be a subtle snare that hell had laid for me. I vowed to flee the sight of you, eschewing a rapture that might prove my soul's undoing. But soon, fair being, I became aware that my deep passion could be made to square with rectitude. And with my bounden duty, I thereupon surrendered to your beauty. It is, I know, presumptuous on my part to bring you this poor offering of my heart, and it is not my merit, heaven knows, but your compassion on which my hopes repose. You are my peace, my solace, my salvation. On you depends my bliss or desolation. I bide your judgment, and as you think best, I shall be either miserable or blessed.
Your declaration is most gallant, sir. But don't you think it's out of character? You'd have done better to restrain your passion and think before you spoke in such a fashion. It ill becomes a pious man like you.
I may be pious, but I'm human too. With your celestial charms before his eyes, a man has not the power to be wise. I know such words sound strangely coming from me, but I'm no angel, nor was meant to be. And if you blame my passion, you must needs reproach as well the charms on which it feeds. Your loveliness I had no sooner seen than you became my soul's unrivaled queen. Before your seraph glance, divinely sweet, my heart's defenses crumbled in defeat, and nothing fasting and prayer or tears might do could stay my spirit from adoring you. My eyes, my stars have told you in the past what now my lips make bold to say at last. And if in your great goodness you will deign to look upon your slave and ease his pain, if in compassion for my soul's distress you'll stoop to comfort my unworthiness, I'll raise to you in thanks for that sweet manna an endless hymn, an infinite With me, of course, there need be no anxiety, no fear of scandal or notoriety. These young court gallants, you know whom all the ladies fancy, are vain in speech, in action rash and chancy. When they succeed in love, the world soon knows it, but no favors granted them, but they disclose it. By the looseness of their tongues, profane the very altar where their hearts have lain. Men of my sort, however, love discreetly, and one may trust our reticence completely.
Oh.
My keen concern for my good name ensures the absolute security of yours. In short, I offer you, my dear Elmire, love without scandal, pleasure without fear.
I've heard your well-turned speeches to the end, and what you urge, I clearly apprehend. Aren't you afraid that I may take a notion to tell my husband of your warm devotion? And that supposing he were duly told, his feelings toward you might grow rather cold?
I know, dear lady, that your exceeding charity will lead your heart to pardon my temerity, that you'll excuse my violent affection as human weakness, human imperfection, and that, O fairest, you will bear in mind that I am but flesh and blood and am not blind.
Some women might do otherwise, perhaps, but I shall be discreet about your lapse. I'll tell my husband nothing of what's occurred, if, in return, you'll give your solemn word to advocate as forcefully as you can the marriage of Valere and Marianne, renouncing all desire to dispossess another of his rightful happiness. And
oh no, will not hush up this vile affair. I heard it all inside that closet there, where heaven, in order to confound the pride of this great rascal, prompted me to hide. Now I have my long-awaited chance to punish his deceit and arrogance and give my father clear and shocking proof of the black character of his dear Tartuffe.
Oh, no, Damis. I'll be content if he will study to deserve my leniency. I've promised silence. Don't make me break my word. To make a scandal would be too absurd. Good wives laugh off such trifles and forget them. Oh, why should they tell their husbands and upset them?
You have your reasons for taking such a course, and I have reasons too, of equal force. To spare him now would be insanely wrong. I've swallowed my just wrath for far too long and watched this insolent bigot bringing strife and bitterness into our family life. Too long he's meddled in my father's affairs, thwarting my marriage vows and poor Valère's. It's high time that my father was undeceived, and now I've proof that can't be disbelieved. Proof that was furnished me by heaven above. It's too good not to take advantage of. This is my chance, and I deserve to lose it if, for one moment, I hesitate to use it.
Damis!
No, I must do what I think right. Madam, my heart is bursting with delight, and say whatever you will, I'll not consent to lose the sweet revenge on which I'm bent. I'll settle matters without more ado, and here, most opportunely, is my cue. Father, I'm glad you've joined us. Let us advise you of some fresh news which doubtless will surprise you. You've just now been repaid with interest for all your loving kindness to our guest. He's proved his warm and grateful feelings toward you. It's with a pair of horns that he would reward you. Yes, I surprised him with your wife and heard his whole adulterous offer, every word. She, with her all too gentle disposition, would not have told you of his proposition, but I shall not make terms with brazen lechery and feel that not to tell you would be treachery.
And I hold that one's husband's peace of mind should not be spoiled by tattle of this kind. One's honor doesn't require it. To be proficient in keeping men at bay is quite sufficient. These are my sentiments, and I wish, Damis, that you had heeded me and held your peace.
Can it be true, this dreadful thing I hear?
Yes, brother. I'm a wicked man, I fear. A wretched sinner, all depraved and twisted. The greatest villain that has ever existed. My life's one heap of crimes which grows each minute. There's naught but foulness and corruption in it. And I perceive that heaven, outraged by me, has chosen this occasion to mortify me. Charge me with any deed you wish to name. I'll not defend myself, but take the blame. Believe what you are told, and drive Tartuffe like some base animal from beneath your roof. Yes, drive me hence, and with a parting curse I shan't protest, for I deserve far worse.
Ah, you deceitful girl. How dare you try to stain his purity with so foul a lie?
What? Are you taken in by such a bluff? Did you not hear?
Enough, you rogue. Enough.
No, brother, let her speak. You're being unjust. Believe her story. The girl deserves your trust. Why, after all, should you have faith in me? How can you know what I might do or be? Is it on my good actions that you base your favor? Do you trust my pious face? No! Don't be deceived by hollow shows. I am far, alas, from being what men suppose. Though the world takes me for a man of worth, I'm truly the most worthless man on earth. Yes, dear Damis, speak out now. Call me the chief of sinners, a wretch, a murderer, a thief. Load me with all the names that men most abhor. I will not complain. I've earned them all and more. I'll kneel here while you pour them on my head as a just punishment for the life I've led.
This is too much, brother. Girl, have you no heart?
Are you so hoodwinked by this rascal's art?
Be still, you monster, brother. I pray you rise.
Villain! Can't you?
Silence!
Can't you realize?
Just one more word, daughter, and I will hurt you.
In God's name, brother, don't be harsh with her. I'd rather far be tortured at the stake than see her bear one scratch for my poor sake.
Ingrate!
If I must beg you on bended knee to pardon her.
Such goodness cannot be. Now there is true charity.
What? You...
Villain, be still. I know your motives. I know you wish him ill.
You're going to force her to accept his hand?
Yes. And this very night, do you understand? I shall defy you all and make it clear that I'm the one who gives the orders here. Come, wretch. You kneel down and clasp his blessed feet and ask his pardon for your black deceit.
I ask that swindler's pardon? Why, I'd rather...
So, you insult him and defy your father. A stick! A stick! No, release me, do. Out of my house this minute. Be off with you, and never dare set foot in it again.
Well, I shall go, but...
Well, go quickly then. I disinherit you. An empty purse is all you'll get from me, except my curse. Oh! How she blasphemed your goodness! What daughter?
Lord, as I've already done, forgive her. You can't know how it hurts when someone tries to blacken me in my dear brother's eyes. The mere thought of such ingratitude plunges my soul into so dark a mood, such horror grips my heart. I gasp for breath. I cannot speak. I feel myself near death.
Oh, you blackguard! Why did I spare you? Why did I not break you in little pieces on the spot? Compose yourself and don't be hurt, dear friend.
These scenes, these dreadful quarrels, they've got to end. I've much upset your household, and I perceive that the best thing will be for me to leave.
What are you saying?
They're all against me here. They'd have you think me false and insincere.
Oh, what of that? Have I ceased believing in you?
Their adverse talk will certainly continue, and charges which you now repudiate you may find credible at a later date.
No, brother, never.
Brother, a wife can sway her husband's mind in many a subtle way.
No.
To leave at once is the solution. Thus only can I end their persecution.
No, I'll not allow it. You shall remain.
Ah, well, 'twill mean much martyrdom and pain, but if you wish it. Enough, so be it. But one thing must be settled, as I see it, for your dear honor and for our friendship's sake. There's one precaution I feel bound to take. I shall avoid your wife and keep away.
No, you shall not. Whatever they may say, it pleases me to vex them. And for spite, I'd have them see you with her day and night. What's more, I'm going to drive them to despair by making you my only son and heir. This very day I'll give to you alone clear deed and title to everything I own. A dear, good friend and son-in-law to be is more than wife or child or kin to me. Will you accept my offer, dearest son?
In all things, let the will of heaven be done.
Oh, poor fellow! Come, we'll go draw up the deed. Then let them burst with disappointed greed.
Yes, all the town is discussing it, and truly, their comments do not flatter you unduly. I'm glad we've met, sir, and I'll give my view of this sad matter in a word or two. As for who's guilty, that I shan't discuss. Let's say it was Damis who caused the fuss. Assuming then that you have been ill-used by young Damis and groundlessly accused, ought not a Christian to forgive? And ought he not stifle every vengeful thought? Should you stand by and watch a father make his daughter an exile for your sake? Again, I tell you frankly, be advised, the whole town, high and low, is scandalized. This quarrel must be mended. And my advice is not to push matters to a further crisis. No. Sacrifice your wrath to God above and help Damis regain her father's love.
Alas, for my part, I should feel quite happy to do so. I have nothing against the lady. I pardon all. I harbor no resentment. To serve her would afford me much contentment. But heaven's interest will not have it so. If she comes back, then I shall have to go. After her conduct so extreme, so vicious, our further intercourse would look suspicious. God knows what people would think. Why, they'd describe my goodness to her as a sort of bribe. They'd say that out of guilt I made pretense of loving kindness and benevolence, that fearing my accuser's tongue, I strove to buy her silence with a show of love.
Your reasoning is badly warped and stretched, and these excuses, sir, are most far-fetched. Why put yourself in charge of heaven's cause? Does heaven need our help to enforce its laws? Leave vengeance to the Lord, sir. While we live, our duty is not to punish, but forgive. And what the Lord commands, we should obey without regard to what the world may say. What? Shall the fear of being misunderstood prevent our doing what is right and good? No, no. Let's simply do what heaven ordains and let no other thoughts perplex our brains.
Again, sir, let me say that I've forgiven Damis and thus obeyed the laws of heaven. But I am not commanded by the Bible to live with one who smears my name with libel.
Were you commanded, sir, to indulge the whim of poor Orgon and to encourage him in suddenly transferring to your name a large estate to which you have no claim?
'Twould never occur to those who know me best to think I acted from self-interest. The treasures of this world I quite despise. The specious glitter does not charm my eyes. And if I have resigned myself to taking the gift which my dear brother insists on making, I do so only, as he well understands, lest so much wealth fall into wicked hands, lest those to whom it might descend in time turn it to purposes of sin and crime, and not, as I shall do, make use of it for heaven's glory and mankind's benefit.
Forget these trumped-up fears. Your argument is one the rightful heir might well resent. It is a moral burden to inherit such wealth, but give Damis a chance to bear it. And would it not be worse to be accused of swindling than to see that wealth misused? I'm shocked that you allowed Orgon to broach this matter and that you feel no self-reproach. Does true religion teach that lawful heirs may freely be deprived of what is theirs? And if the Lord has told you in your heart that you and young Damis must dwell apart, would it not be the decent thing to beat a generous and honorable retreat rather than let the great Damis be sent for your convenience into banishment? Sir, if you wish to prove the honesty of your intentions,
Sir, it is 3:30. I have certain pious duties to attend to, and hope my prompt departure won't offend you.
Stay, sir, and help Marianne, for heaven's sake. She's suffering so, I fear her heart will break. Her father's plan to marry her off tonight has put the poor child in a desperate plight. I hear him coming. Let's stand together now and see if we can't change his mind somehow about this match we all deplore and fear.
Glad to find you all assembled here. This contract, child, contains your happiness, and what it says, I think your heart can guess.
Sir, by that heaven which sees me here distressed, and by whatever else can move your breast, do not employ a father's power, I pray you, to crush my heart and force it to obey you. Nor by your harsh commands oppress me so that I'll begrudge the duty which I owe, and do not so embitter and enslave me that I shall hate the very life you gave me. If my sweet hopes must perish, if you refuse to give me to the one I've dared to choose, spare me at least. I beg you, I implore you, the pain of wedding one whom I abhor. And do not, by a heartless use of force, drive me to contemplate a desperate course.
Be firm, my soul, no human weakness now.
I don't resent your love for him. Allow your heart free rein, sir. Give him your property. And if that's not enough, take mine for me. He's welcome to my money. Take it due, but don't, I pray you, include my person too. Spare me, I beg you, and let me end the tale of my sad days behind a convent veil.
A convent! Ha! When crossed in their amours, all lovesick girls have this same thought as yours. Get up. The more you loathe the man and dread him, the more ennobling it will be to wed him. Marry Tartuffe and mortify your flesh.
Oh!
Enough! Don't stop that whimpering afresh.
But why?
Be still there. Speak when you're spoken to. No one more bit of impudence out of you.
If I may offer a word of counsel here.
Brother, in counseling, you have no peer. All your advice is forceful, sound, and clever. I don't propose to follow it, however.
I am amazed and don't know what to say. Your blindness simply takes my breath away. You are indeed bewitched to take no warning from our account of what occurred this morning.
Madam, I know a few plain facts, and one is that you're partial to my dear daughter. Hence, when she sought to make Tartuffe the victim of a base lie, you dared not contradict her. Ah, but you underplayed your part, my pet. You should have looked more angry, more upset.
When men make overtures, must we reply with righteous anger and a battle cry? Must we turn back their amorous advances with sharp reproaches and fiery glances? Myself, I find such offers merely amusing and make no scenes and fusses in refusing. My caste is for good-natured rectitude. And I dislike the savage sort of prude who guards her virtue with her teeth and claws and tears men's eyes out for the slightest cause. The Lord preserve me from such honor as that which bites and scratches like an alley cat. I found that a polite and cool rebuff discourages a lover quite enough.
I know the facts, and I shall not be shaken.
I marvel at your power to be mistaken. Would it, I wonder, carry weight with you if I could show you that our tale was true?
Show me.
Yes.
Rot.
Oh, come, what if I found a way to make you see the facts as plain as day?
Nonsense.
Do answer me, don't be absurd. I'm not now asking you to trust our word. Suppose that from some hiding place in here, you learned the whole sad truth by eye and ear. What would you say of your good friend after?
Why, I'd say nothing. By Jehoshaphat, it can't be true.
You've been too long deceived, and I'm quite tired of being disbelieved. Come now, let's put my statements to the test, and you shall see the truth made manifest.
I'll take that challenge. Now do your uttermost. We'll see how you make good your empty boast.
Send him to me.
He's crafty. It may be hard to catch the cunning scoundrel off his guard.
Oh no, amorous men are gullible. Their conceit so blinds them that they're never hard to cheat. Have him come down. Please leave us for a bit. Pull up this table and get under it.
What?
It's essential that you be well hidden.
Why there?
Oh heavens, just do as you are bidden. I have my plans. We'll soon see how they fare. Under the table now. And once you're there, take care that you are neither seen nor heard.
Well, I'll indulge you, since I gave my word, to see you through this infantile charade.
Oh, once it is over, you'll be glad we played. I'm going to act quite strangely now, and you must not be shocked at anything I do. Whatever I may say, you must excuse as part of that deceit I'm forced to use. I shall employ sweet speeches in the task of making that impostor drop his mask. I'll give encouragement to his bold desires and furnish fuel to his amorous fires. Since it's for your sake and for his destruction that I shall seem to yield to his seduction, I'll gladly stop whenever you decide that all of your doubts are fully satisfied. I'll count on you, as soon as you have seen what sort of man he is, to intervene and not expose me to his odious lust one moment longer than you feel you must. Remember, you're to save me from my plight. Whenever, oh, he's coming. Shh, hush, keep out of sight.
You wish to have a word with me, I'm told?
Yes. I have a little secret to unfold.
Mm.
Before I speak, however, it would be wise to close that door and look about for spies. The very last thing that must happen now is a repetition of this morning's row. I've never been so badly caught off guard. Oh, how I feared for you. You saw how hard I tried to make that troublesome Damis control her dreadful temper and hold her peace. In my confusion, I didn't have the sense simply to contradict her evidence, but as it happened, that was for the best. And all has worked out in our interest. This storm has only bettered your position. My husband doesn't have the least suspicion. And now, in mockery of those who do, he bids me be continually with you. And that is why, quite fearless of reproof, I can now be alone with my Tartuffe. And why my heart, perhaps too quick to yield, feels free to let its passion be revealed.
Madam, your words confuse me. Not long ago, you spoke in quite a different style, you know.
Ah, sir. If that refusal made you smart, it's little that you know of woman's heart, or what that heart is trying to convey when it resists in such a feeble way. Always, at first, our modesty prevents the frank avowal of tender sentiments. However high the passion which inflames us, still to confess its power somehow shames us. Thus we reluct at first, yet in a tone that tells us our heart is overthrown, that what our lips deny, our pulse confesses, and that in time all no's will turn to yeses. I fear my words were all too frank and free and a poor proof of woman's modesty, but since I'm started, tell me, if you will, would I have tried to make Damis be still? Would I have listened, calm and unoffended, until your lengthy offer of love was ended, and been so very mild in my reaction had your sweet words not given me satisfaction? And when I tried to force you to undo the marriage plans my husband has in view, what did my urgent pleading signify, if not that I admired you, and that I deplored the thought that someone else might own part of a heart I wished for mine alone?
Madam. No happiness is so complete as when from lips we love come words so sweet. Their nectar floods my every sense and drains in honeyed rivulets through all my veins. To please you is my joy, my only goal. Your love is the restorer of my soul. And yet, I must beg leave now to confess some lingering doubts as to my happiness. Might this not be a trick? Might not the catch be that you wish me to break off the match with Marianne and so have feigned to love me? I shan't quite trust your fond opinion of me until the feelings you've expressed so sweetly are demonstrated somewhat more concretely. And you have shown by certain kind concessions that I may put my faith in your profession.
Oh, why be in such a hurry? My heart exhaust its bounty at the very start? To make that sweet admission cost me dear, but you'll not be content, it would appear, unless my store of favors is dispersed to the very last farthing, and not the very first.
The less we merit, the less we dare to hope, and with our doubts, mere words can never cope. We trust no promised bliss till we receive it. Not till a joy is ours can we believe it. I, who so little merit your esteem, can't credit this fulfillment of my dream, and shan't believe it, madam, until I savor some palpable assurance of your favor.
Oh my! How tyrannical your love can be! How it flusters and perplexes me! How furiously you take one's heart in hand and make your every wish a fierce command! God, must you hound and harry me to death? Will you not give me time to catch my breath? Can it be right to press me with such force? Give me no quarter, show me no remorse, and take advantage by your stern insistence of the fond feelings which weaken my resistance.
Well, if you look with favor upon my love, why then begrudge me some clear proof thereof?
But how can I consent without offense to heaven, toward which you feel such reverence?
If heaven is all that holds you back, don't worry. I can remove that hindrance in a hurry. Nothing of that sort need obstruct our path.
Must one not be afraid of heaven's wrath?
Madam, forget such fears and be my pupil, and I shall teach you how to conquer scruple. Some joys, it's true, are wrong in heaven's eyes, yet heaven is not averse to compromise. There is a science lately formulated whereby one's conscience may be liberated, and any wrongful act you care to mention may be redeemed by purity of intention. I'll teach you, madam, the secrets of that science. Meanwhile, just place on me your full reliance. Assuage my keen desires and feel no dread. The sin, if any, shall be on my head. You've a bad cough.
Yes, it's bad indeed.
A bit of licorice may be what you need.
No, I have a stubborn cold, it seems. I'm sure it will take much more than licorice to cure it.
How aggravating.
Oh, more than I can say.
If you're still troubled, think of things this way. No one shall know our joys, save us alone. And there's no evil till the act is known. It's scandal, madam, which makes it an offense. And it's no sin to sin in confidence.
Well, clearly I must do as you require and yield to your importunate desire. It is apparent now that nothing less will satisfy you, and so I acquiesce. To go so far as much against my will, I'm vexed that it should come to this, but still, since you are so determined on it, since you will not allow mere language to convince you, and since you ask for concrete evidence, I see nothing for it now but to comply. If this is sinful, if I'm wrong to do it, so much the worse for him who drove me to it. The fault can surely not be charged to me.
Madam, the fault is mine, if fault there be, and...
Open the door a little and peek out. I wouldn't want my husband poking about.
Yeah! Why worry about that man? Each day he grows more gullible. One can lead him by the nose. To find us here would fill him with delight. And if he saw the worst, he'd doubt his sight.
And nevertheless, do step out for a minute into the hall and see that no one's in it. Mhm.
Oh, for the love of... That man's a perfect monster, I must admit. I'm simply stunned. I can't get over it.
What? Coming out so soon? How premature. Get back in hiding and wait until you're sure. Stay until the end and be convinced completely. We mustn't stop till things are proved concretely.
Hell never harbored anything so vicious.
Tut! Don't be hasty. Try to be judicious. Wait and be certain there's no mistake. No jumping to conclusions, for heaven's sake.
Oh, madam, all things have worked out to perfection. I've given the neighboring rooms a full inspection. No one is about. And now I may at last.
Hold on, my passionate fellow, not so fast. I should advise a little more restraint. Well, so you thought you'd fool me, my dear saint? How soon you wearied of the saintly life, wedding my daughter and coveting my wife. I've long suspected you. I had a feeling that soon I'd catch you at your double dealing. Just now you've given me evidence galore. It's quite enough. I've no wish for more.
I'm sorry to have treated you so slyly, but circumstances forced me to be wily.
Brother, you can't think. It's
no more talk from you. Just leave this household without more ado.
What I intended.
That seems fairly clear. Spare me your falsehoods and get out of here.
No. I'm the master now. And you're the one to go. This house belongs to me. I'll have you know. And I shall show you that you can't hurt me by this contemptible conspiracy. But those who cross me know not what they do, and that I've the means to expose and punish you, avenge offended heaven, and make you grieve that ever you dared order me to leave.
What was the point of all that angry chatter?
Oh, dear God, I'm worried that this is no laughing matter.
How so?
I fear I understood his drift. I'm much disturbed about that deed of gift.
You gave him?
Yes, it's all been drawn and signed, but one thing more is weighing on my mind.
What's that?
I'll tell you, but first, let's see if there's a certain strong box in his room upstairs.
Where are you going so fast?
God knows.
Well, then wait. Let's have a conference and deliberate on how this situation's to be met.
That strong box has me utterly upset. This is the worst of many, many shocks.
What, is there some fearful mystery in that box?
My poor friend Argas brought that box to me with his own hands in the utmost secrecy. It was on the very morning of his flight. It's full of papers which, if they came to light, would ruin him, or such is my impression.
Then why did you let it out of your possession?
Those papers vexed my conscience, and it seemed best to ask the counsel of my pious guest. The cunning scoundrel got me to agree to leave the strong box in his custody, so that in case of an investigation, I could employ a slight equivocation and swear I didn't have it, and thereby, at no expense to conscience, tell a lie.
Well, it looks to me as if you're out on a limb. Trusting him with that box and offering him that deed of gift were actions of a mind which scarcely indicate a prudent mind. With 2 such weapons, he has the upper hand, and since you're vulnerable as matters stand, you erred once more in bringing him to bay. You should have acted in some subtler way.
Just think of it. Behind that fervent face, a heart so wicked and a soul so base. I took him in, a hungry beggar. And then, enough! By God, I'm through with pious men. Henceforth, I'll hate the whole false brotherhood and persecute them worse than Satan could.
Oh, there you go, extravagant as ever. Why can you not be rational? You never manage to take the middle course, it seems, but jump instead between absurd extremes. You've recognized your recent grave mistake in falling victim to a pious fake. Now, to correct that error, must you embrace an even greater error in its place and judge our worthy neighbors as a whole by what you've learned of one corrupted soul? Come, just because one rascal made you swallow a show of zeal which turned out to be hollow, shall you conclude that all men are deceivers and that today there are no true believers? Let atheists make that foolish inference. Learn to distinguish virtue from pretense. Be cautious in bestowing admiration and cultivate a sober moderation. Don't humor fraud, but also don't asperse true piety. The latter fault is worse, and it is best to err if err one must, as you have done, upon the side of trust.
Father, I hear that scoundrel's uttered threats against you, that he pridefully forgets how in his need he was befriended by you. It means to use your gifts to crucify you?
It's true, my girl. I'm too distressed for tears.
Leave it to me, sir. Let me trim his ears. Faced with such insolence, we must not waver. I shall rejoice in doing you the favor of cutting short his life and your distress.
What a display of young hot-headedness! Do learn to moderate your fits of rage. In this just country, this enlightened age, one does not settle things by violence.
I hear strange tales of strange events.
Yes, strange events which these 2 eyes beheld. The man's ingratitude is unparalleled. I save a wretched pauper from starvation, house him, and treat him like a blood relation, shower him every day with my largesse, give him my daughter and all that I possess. And meanwhile, the unconscionable knave tries to induce my wife to misbehave, and not content with such extreme rascality, now threatens me with my own liberality, and aims by taking base advantage of the gifts I gave him out of Christian love to drive me from my house, a ruined man, and make me end a pauper as he began.
Poor fellow.
No, my son, I'll never bring myself to think him guilty of such a thing.
How's that?
The righteous always were maligned.
Speak clearly, mother. Say what's on your mind.
I mean that I can smell a rat, my dear. You know how everybody hates him here.
That has no bearing on the case at all.
I told you 100 times when you were small that virtue in this world is hated ever. Malicious men may die, but malice never.
No doubt that's true, but how does it apply?
They've turned you against him by a clever lie.
No, I've told you I was there and saw it done.
Slanders will stop at nothing, son.
Mother, I'll lose my temper for the last time. I tell you, I was witness to the crime.
The tongues of spite are busy night and noon, and to their venom no man is immune.
You're talking nonsense. Can't you realize I saw it? Saw it with my eyes. Do you understand me? Must I shout it into your ears before you'll cease to doubt it?
Appearances can deceive, my son. Dear me, we cannot always judge by what we see.
Drat!
One often interprets things awry. Good can seem evil to a suspicious eye.
Was I to see him pawing at Elmire as an act of charity?
Till his guilt is clear, a man deserves the benefit of the doubt. You should have waited to see how things turned out.
Great God in heaven, what more proof do I need? Was I to sit there watching until he... You drive me to the brink of impropriety.
No, a man of such surpassing piety could such a thing. You cannot shake me. I don't believe it, and you shall not make me.
You vex me so that if you weren't my mother, I'd say to you some dreadful thing or other.
It's your turn now, sir, not to be listened to. You'd not trust us, and now she won't trust you.
My friends, we're wasting time which should be spent in facing up to our predicament. I fear that scoundrel's threats weren't made in sport.
Do you think he'd have the nerve to go to court?
I'm sure he won't. They'd find it all too crude, a case of swindling and ingratitude.
Well, don't be too sure. He won't be at a loss to give his claims a high and righteous gloss. And clever rogues with far less valid cause have trapped their victims in a web of laws. I say again that to antagonize a man so strongly armed was most unwise.
I know it. But the man's appalling cheek outraged me so I couldn't control my pique.
I wish to heaven that we could devise some truce between you, or some compromise.
If I had known what cards he held, I'd not have roused his anger by my little lie.
What is that fellow looking for? Who is he? Go talk to him and tell him that I'm busy.
Good day, dear sister. Kindly let me see your master.
He's involved with company and cannot be disturbed just now, I fear.
I hate to intrude, but what has brought me here will not disturb your master in any event. Indeed, my news will make him most content.
Your name?
Just say that I bring greetings from, let's see, Monsieur Tartuffe, on whose behalf I've come.
Sir, he's a very gracious man and bears a message from Tartuffe, which he declares will make you most content.
Upon my word, I think this man had best be seen and heard.
Yeah, perhaps he has some settlement to suggest. How shall I treat him? What manner would be best?
Control your anger. And if he should mention some fair adjustment, give him your full attention.
Good. Health to you, good sir. May heaven confound your enemies and may your joys abound.
A gentle salutation. It confirms my guess that he is here to offer terms.
I've always held your family most dear. I served your father, sir, for many a year.
Sir, I must ask your pardon to my shame. I cannot recall now your face or name.
Loyal's my name. I come from Normandy, and I'm a bailiff in all modesty. For 30 years, praise God, it's been my boast to serve with honor in that vital post. And I am here, sir, if you will permit the liberty to serve you with this writ.
What?
Oh, no, please, sir. Let's have no friction. It's nothing but an order of eviction. You are to move your goods and family out, make way for new occupants without deferment or delay, and give the keys.
I leave this house.
Why, yes, sir. Yeah, if you please. Well, this house, sir, from the cellar to the roof, belongs now to that good Monsieur Tartuffe, and he is lord and master of your estate by virtue of a deed of present date, drawn in due form with clearest legal phrasing.
Your insolence is utterly amazing.
Lady, hey, my business here is not with you, but with your wise and temperate father, who, like every worthy citizen, stands in awe of justice and would never obstruct the law.
But
not a million, sir. Would you rebel against authority? I know that well. You'll not make trouble, sir, or interfere with the execution of my duties here.
Someone may execute a smart tattoo on that black jacket of yours before you're through.
Sir, bid your daughter be silent. I'd much regret having to mention such a nasty threat of violence in writing my report.
This man Loyal's a most disloyal sort.
Now, I love all men of upright character. And when I agreed to serve these papers, sir, it was your feelings that I had in mind. I couldn't bear to see the case assigned to someone else who might esteem you less and so subject you to unpleasantness.
What's more unpleasant than telling a man to leave his house and home?
You'd like a short reprieve? If you desire it, sir, I shall press you. But, well, you can wait until tomorrow till I dispossess you. Splendid. Now I'll come by and spend the night here then, most quietly, with half a score of men. For form's sake, you might bring me just before you go to bed the keys to the front door. My men, I promise, will be on their best behavior and will not disturb your rest. But bright and early, sir, you must be quick and move out all your furniture, every stick. The men I've chosen are both young and strong, and with their help, it shouldn't take too long. In short, I'll make things pleasant and convenient. Since I'm being so extremely lenient, please show me, sir, a like consideration and give me your entire cooperation. Thanks.
I may be all but bankrupt, but I vow I'd give $100 here and now just for the pleasure of landing one good clout right on the end of that complacent snout.
Careful, don't make things worse.
My boot sole itches to give that beggar a good kick in the britches.
Monsieur Loyal, I'd love to hear the whack of a stout stick across your fine, broad back.
Yeah, take care. A servant too may go to jail if she uses threatening language to a bailiff.
Enough, sir. This must not go on. Give me that paper, please, and then be gone.
Well, au revoir. God give you all cheer.
And may God confound you and him who sent you here. Now, Mother, was I right or not? This writ should change your notion of Tartuffe a bit. Do you perceive his villainy at last?
I'm thunderstruck. I'm utterly aghast.
Oh, come, be fair. You mustn't take offense at this new proof of his benevolence. He's acting out of selfless love, I know. Material things enslave the soul, and so he has kindly arranged your liberation from all that might endanger your salvation.
Will you not ever hold your tongue, you dunce?
Come, you must take some action, and at once.
Go to the world of the low trick side. The gift is surely known by such behavior. Public rage will not the wretch to carry his plot.
Sir, though I hate to bring you more bad news, such is the danger that I cannot choose. A friend who is extremely close to me and knows my interest in your family has, for my sake, presumed to violate the secrecy that's due to things of state, and sends me word that you are in a plight from which your one salvation lies in flight. That scoundrel who's imposed upon you so denounced you to the king an hour ago, and as supporting evidence displayed the strong box of a certain renegade whose secret papers, so he testified, you had disloyally agreed to hide. I don't know just what charges may be pressed, but there's a warrant out for your arrest. Tartuffe has been instructed furthermore to guide the arresting officer to your door.
He's clearly done this to facilitate his seizure of your house and your estate.
That man, I must say, is a vicious beast.
Quick, sir, you mustn't tarry in the least. My carriage is outside to take you hence. This 1,000 louis should cover all expense. Let's lose no time, or you shall be undone. The sole defense in this case is to run. I shall go with you all the way and place you in a safe refuge to which they'll never trace you.
Alas, dear boy, I wish that I could show you my gratitude. Alas, dear boy, I wish that I could show you my gratitude for everything I owe you. but now is not the time. I pray the Lord that I may live to give you your reward. Farewell, my dears. Be careful.
Brother, hurry. We shall take care of things. You needn't worry.
Gently, sir. Gently. Stay right where you are. No need for haste. Your lodging isn't far. You're off to prison by order of the prince.
This is the crowning blow, you wretch. And since it means my total ruin and defeat, your villainy is now at last complete.
You needn't try to provoke me. It's no use. Those who serve heaven must expect abuse.
Oh, and you are indeed most patient, sweet, and blameless.
How he exploits the name of heaven. It's shameless.
Your taunts and mockeries are all for naught. To do my duty is my only thought.
Your love of duty is most meritorious, and what you've done is little short of glorious.
All deeds are glorious, madam, which obey the sovereign prince who sent me here today.
I rescued you when you were destitute. Have you forgotten that, you thankless brute?
No. No. I well remember everything, but my first duty is to serve my king. That obligation is so paramount that other claims beside it do not count. And for it, I would sacrifice my wife, my family, my friend, or my own life.
Hypocrite! All that we most revere, he uses to cloak his plots and camouflage his ruses.
If it is true that you are animated by pure and loyal zeal, as you have stated, why was this zeal not roused until you'd sought to make Orgon a cuckold and been caught? Why weren't you moved to give your evidence until your outraged host had driven you hence? I shan't say that the gift of all his treasure ought to have damped your zeal in any measure, but if he is a traitor, as you declare, how could you condescend to be his heir?
Sir, just spare me all this clamor. It's growing chill. Please carry out your orders, if you will.
Yes, I've delayed too long, sir. Thank you kindly. You're just the proper person to remind me. Come, you are off to join the other boarders in
I, sir?
Yes.
To prison. This can't be true.
Oh, I owe an explanation, but not to you. Sir, all is well. Rest easy and be grateful. We serve a people to whom all sham is hateful. A people who sees into each and every other's inmost heart and can't be fooled by any trickster's art. Who, though generous and human, view all things with discernment and acumen. Whose reason is not lightly swayed, and whose judgments are discreetly weighed.
We honor righteous men of every kind.
And yet, our zeal for virtue is not blind.
Nor does our love of piety numb our wits.
And make us tolerant of hypocrites.
'Tis hardly likely that this man could cozen us again.
With one keen glance, we've perceived the whole perverseness and corruption of his soul.
And thus high heaven's justice is displayed.
Betraying us, the rogue stands self-betrayed.
You've now recognized one notorious by another name, who does not display so many vicious crimes he has done that one could fill 10 volumes with them and be writing still.
But to be brief, we are appalled by this man's treachery toward us, which we call the last worst villainy of a vile career.
They bade me follow the impostor here and force him to restore your property, his private papers, by the people's command. I hereby seize and give into your hand. By these decrees, the people reward you with your loyal service in the late wars, and the deed which gave this rascal your estate is hereby invalidated.
Heaven be praised!
I breathe again at last.
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 We're safe.
I can't believe the danger's past.
Well, traitor, now you see.
Brother, please, let's not descend to such indignities. Leave the poor wretch to his unhappy fate. Don't say anything to aggravate his present woes, but rather hope that he will soon embrace an honest piety and mend his ways, and by a true repentance move our judges to moderate his sentence.
Well said. Let's go at once and gladly kneeling express the gratitude which all are feeling. Then, when that first great duty has been done, we'll turn with pleasure to a second one and give the lair whose love has proven so true the wedded happiness which is his due. Come.